All right, my question for you today is, do you work for somebody else, but you have the desire to start your own business? And you thought about it, and you thought about it, and you thought about it. Well, great. You may be that person that will be successful in starting your own business. So if that's you and you're thinking, how can I do this? And you're really not quite sure where to go, and maybe you've gone online, you've seen all sorts of different opinions of people that may have never started a business. I want to give you some thoughts. We do own a small business. We have owned a couple small businesses, and we're in business today. And the business we have today, we've had for 11 successful years as of the recording. Longer than that if you're seeing this a couple years later. So to have a small business, and I'm not talking about getting investors and doing something big in national, international, developing a product line, getting into Walmart stores and other kinds of, I'm talking about, say, a small business in your local town. It's you, maybe a couple other people, maybe 10, maybe 50. But you want to start your own small business. And maybe it's just you for the entirety of your business venture. That's okay. You can be, that's self-employed, where you work for yourself, trading your time for dollars the entire time, versus being an employer who has that small business or large business or somewhere in between, but you have people working for you doing the majority of the work. You're managing it maybe, or maybe you have a general manager, you're kind of stepping back, but you can oversee things, and the majority of everything done within the company at a tactical level is done by somebody else. Or you're an entrepreneur who starts several businesses, maybe invests in several different startups. And so you have your hand in a lot of different companies. Think of Shark Tank. Think of the investors on Shark Tank, the Mark Cuban and all the other ones, I forget all their names. So they own lots of companies. Well, they have a piece of lots of companies. They're not running these companies, but they have 20% of this company and 15% of that company and 10% of that company. So you'll hear an entrepreneur talk about, yes, I have 150 companies. Well, no, he doesn't. A few do, but the average, no, they're investors. They've earned their millions and billions of dollars. Great, smart on them and good for them. And then they've invested in a bunch of other companies that are diversifying themselves. That's what they're doing. So, but let's say you're the one that says, I just want to start a small business. What do I do? First, be sure you have a cast iron stomach. I am encouraging you to go this direction if you have that in you to do so. If you don't have it in you to do so, and you're afraid of every little dip that may happen and it tears you up, it won't be for you. Having a business of your own is not for everyone. It is not for the faint at heart, because it comes with a tremendous amount of risk, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of 100+ hour weeks, and that's no exaggeration. A lot of weekends, a lot of holidays that you don't get paid holidays for. You don't get paid vacations. You give up a lot of those kinds of things. You don't get matching retirement funds from, say, a 401k program or some other retirement program when you work for another company that offers those sorts of things. Everything is on you. It's all on your shoulders. But if you have the stomach for it, okay, good. If you're going to take the chance, good for you. Lots of things to keep in mind and to learn about within the industry that you would consider. Having a business license, is it a field that requires a professional license or a semi-professional license, like licensed plumbers, for example, licensed roofers, for example, licensed HVAC people, for example. If it's just a cleaning company, you don't have to have licenses for that. As far as trade license, business license, yes. But get those things in order. Be sure that you have a reasonable amount of startup capital. That's a pain point for a lot of people who go into business with very little money, not realizing that in most businesses, not all, but most businesses, there is a ramp-up period before the volume of sales gets to that healthy level. And you have to make sure that, you've got money to float you during that rough time. So if you don't have that yet, do what you can to put that together, because it can be a rough road. And one of the reasons that so many small businesses fail, and within the first 5 years, you may have seen these studies, roughly 80% of all small businesses fail. And of those 20% that remain over the next 5 years, so at the end of the full 10-year period, only about 20% of those remain. So if you run the math, only 4% of businesses that start succeed past 10 years. 4%, which means 96% fail. Now that may be off by 5 or 10%. So if you have a different number, good for you. It's a very, very high number though, and that's very close to accurate most every time that business startups and failures are measured. 10 years out, 4% are still around. But among the reasons is that a lot of small businesses start with just enough startup capital to get started, not enough working capital to get them through the initial tough times, and then they fold in a year because they didn't have enough money. It was a good idea, or they didn't really get things together. So you need to have a well thought out plan. Have the money together. Get some good business counsel from others who are in the industry that you're going into. And without going into all the other steps, this would be an hour, a 2 hour long video if I were to do this for you. But you're going to maybe have to buy equipment. You may have to buy a building, or lease a building, or put together, materials and supplies and what have you. No matter if it's a service company or if it's a food establishment or a coffee hut that people drive through and drive in, drive out of. It's going to take that. But also bear in mind you're going to want to have a business plan. Start from starting out to where you want to be a year, 2, 5, 10 years out, and then work that plan and be cognizant of changes that happen in the marketplace so you can adjust as well. Watch your numbers. And when big money starts coming in, don't just spend it. Save it. Bankroll it. Because you may have a really rough, maybe it's a business that could be somewhat seasonal, and you have one of those off seasons where it's really, really bad. You have to be able to prepare yourself for that and survive through that. So for example, at the recording time of this video, we have a carpet cleaning and a rug washing facility company in Alaska. Now, if you're watching this 10 years out, we'll probably be in the Southeast. But point is, our winters are very slow by comparison to our summers. Summers, we're insanely busy. Winters are quite slow. We prepare for it. We just save our money. We bankroll. We live a very comfortable but modestly comfortable lifestyle. And we don't just blow it on expensive toys and very expensive vacations because maybe we can in the summertime when the money is really high. Well, what happens in the wintertime? Okay, we still roll in wintertime. The demand drops off a fair amount, but it works for us. But then today, the very day that I'm recording this, we had a major snowstorm last night. And we were scheduled for a nearly $2,000 day today on one van, which is big in this industry this time of the year for sure. But this snowstorm last night, the roads are completely snarled up. And it's very, very dangerous right now. 16 inches of snow last night. I've already told my guys, don't come in. I will call the customers, reschedule, or if they can't reschedule for another day, they're going to have to cancel. We just have to accept it. My point is the following. Things happen where you just lose that entire day or entire week's worth of sales. Maybe you have a full week of just horrible weather in a field where your business is weather dependent. And if that is the case, are you only 1 week away from being out of business because you haven't saved your money, right? Lots of reasons why your business could have a period of time where the revenue is super low. That is why I say, as a small business person, bankroll, bankroll, bankroll. Being in business doesn't mean that you are necessarily going to just live now a lavish lifestyle because I own my own company after all. No, be real. Be real. It's a small business that maybe one day will be, will be a bigger, again, unscripted, unedited. You get all the coughs and sneezes too. One day that business may be a bigger business. Fine. Then at that time, maybe you can do something different. But for now, just be modest. Live a reasonably modest lifestyle and save your money. You don't want to be a statistic. Okay, so this is, again, talking about thinking about going into business for yourself. Do you have it in you to do so? If you don't have that, I'm going to say in a kind way, the maturity, if you will, the financial maturity to put your hands on $100,000 and not spend it on a boat, expensive truck, vacations. If you don't have that ability to manage that money and hold on to it because you know a rough time may be coming and you don't know when that's going to happen, then don't go into business for yourself. But if all these things I've shared with you, and there are a plethora of others, that you feel that, you know what, this works for me, I've got that, I'm minded that way, then go for it. Absolutely go for it. I think profit is better than a paycheck any day of the week. And even if, as a small business owner, maybe you will earn initially, maybe the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you may earn as an income for yourself less than you made working for someone else. That's okay. As long as, you know what, you're paying your bills just fine, and life is good, and you've got things taken care of, you're working for yourself. You're not working for somebody else. Your career isn't at the risk of being at the end of one phone call ever. Company layoffs, for example. So you're doing your own thing. It's your baby. And you build it up however you want to build it up, as long as it's legal, ethical, and non-fattening. Right? So, but there are a few things that feel better in terms of career than working for yourself, especially if you've got the cast iron stomach, you've got the temperament for it, you can roll with it, and you're business owner minded, you've got that fabric within you to do it. Go for it. Because then the sky really is the limit, because lots and lots of ideas will come to you later in your business that are not in your mindset right now when you first start your business. So let's just say today you started your business and your business is doing this, whatever this is. Great, and you're doing fine. Right now, you're not seeing all the other things that'll develop from this. You're not seeing it yet because you're just starting off with this. But 5 years from now, you may have all these other things that have sort of just when this blossomed and it just turned into so many other things. Service offerings, product offerings, ways of going to market, ways of selling, outside your service area typically. All this will come to you over time. As long as you've got that ability to get past those first few years and you keep focused on how can I make this thing even bigger or better or smoother or more profitable, what have you. Follow me? So I hope this helps you a bit. If it does, great. Please comment down below if you like the video, if it's giving you some insights, some ideas, what have you. Or let's say you've taken that step. You went from working for somebody else and you started your own business. Give us some insight in the comments below, because the readers of those comments may gain some things from you as well, not just from me, the talking head here. All right? Thanks a lot. Please like, subscribe, share. You know what to do. And I will see you in the next video.